we will introduce Katrina first.
Yeah.
So welcome to Soul Tribe channel. My name is Nikki and this is Tracy, and we are interviewing Katrina Bos, author of What If You Can Skip the Cancer, and author of other books as well.
Yeah, and you're a holistic educator as well, aren't you?
I teach and I travel and I do workshops and do talks,
Yeah.
So.
And you had a very personal experience with healing mind, body, and soul, so much that you wrote about it in What If You Could Skip the Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the insight yet ease of reading your book. It was a very comprehensive guide for people that are starting to awaken. Mm-hmm. Because those are the first steps, is healing that mental and emotional self. Mm. Right? So I guess what was that pivotal turning point where you realized it was time to shift your energy? What brought you that awareness?
So I was 29, I was sick. And my mom had just died 4 years before that when I was pregnant with my son. And so I had 2 children and a farm and a family and a life and a husband. And I thought I was doing everything right. Mm. You know, I was really trying to do the right thing. But the truth was I was actually very depressed. And I was actually making a lot of choices that actually had nothing to do with my life path. They were simply the right choices based on society and based on everything I personally believed. But it wasn't true. And so when the lumps came, I knew that, all women in my family had already died of cancer. So I knew that that wasn't going to be my path, taking chemotherapy and things like that. It's fine for other people, but it just didn't work for my family. So when this guru, this man Jim, appeared in my life and he offered to help me, we started having different conversations about, well, what do you really want in life, Katrina? What do you really want right now? And, ideas that, why I just want to go away. I just want to run away. And he's like, well, then let's go. And I said, well, I can't. Like, why? And it was those sort of questions, that very simple questions that said, well, I can't go because my husband needs me and my children need me, and I can't just disappear. Like the whole world would fall apart if I disappeared. And he said, well, you could die. And that was a real moment where I went, right. Like we forget that we're not here forever. Mm-hmm. Like we have this idea that, oh, well, I have all the time in the world to live this phony life that everyone else will be happy with. But the truth is, that's not true. It could end tomorrow.
Yeah, it's an illusion to feel like our life is guaranteed.
Right. And then what was I doing? Why was I, my friend, she said to me, she's a banker, and she said to me, oh, you know what I really want to do? I just want to wear moccasins every day. I said, like, well, why aren't you? She goes, well, I can't. And I said, but it's your life. Like, when are you going to wear moccasins? And it was just like, right. Like we have this strange idea. So then during my illness, there was a moment where I went to bed one night and I had this knowing come over me that I was going to die, that I wasn't going to wake up the next day. And I laid down and I started crying. And my husband was snoring beside me and I'm crying and crying. And I prayed and I'm like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And then these words came and just said, choose. It's up to you. And that was probably the most pivotal turning point because I actually thought about it. I thought, so I could leave? Like I could escape? I could get out of this bed I made? Right? Mm-hmm. And that was the most shocking thing to me because a lot of me loved my life. I loved my children. I loved being married. I wasn't so fussy on the farm, but but I really was lying to myself every day. Like this whole, oh, you've got to see the silver lining. You got to be thankful for the roof over your head and all this kind of thing allows us to go, oh, well, don't worry about those things that are bothering you. But the truth is the things that were bothering me were like winning.
Yeah.
But, we almost pride ourselves on getting over how crappy our life is, and it's like, oh, she just goes and goes and goes, no matter how bad it gets. And it's like, and when I realized that there was a little part of me that actually considered leaving my children, leaving my husband, leaving my friends and family, that I was that depressed.
Yeah.
That changed everything. And then my discussions with Jim changed because I became way more honest. I became way more able to cry and say the things that I could never have admitted to myself before, because I would have thought it was a lack of character, or I was being selfish, or I was being ungrateful. But I realized that, oh my God, this is my life. This is it. I only have so many moments, and one day it's going to be over. What am I doing? And so I think that was the real point where I went, wow, it's now or never. So what are you doing? And then, of course, became the real journey of looking at all these little pieces in my life and starting to be honest and trusting. And of course, it was a real spiritual journey, because I'd always believed in God, or not always, I definitely had an agnostic phase, but I knew there was more in life. I believed in mind, body, spirit stuff. I believed in the power of healing. But now, like, the rubber hit the road. It was like, you've got babies. Like, how much do you really believe this? And what does it really mean when it integrates into you? It's not just an idea up here. It now has to be part of your life. It has to be part of every single second of your thought. And that really changed everything, because then all of a sudden, all these theories had to apply to healing my relationship. It had to apply to me trusting faith. It had to apply to me how I raised my children in a way that I really loved, and I wasn't just running around them trying to be the perfect mom superwoman, that I actually honored my own guidance, my own wisdom. It's funny, in my second book, Tantric Intimacy, I talk a lot about raising my kids, because that's sort of the second, it's the later, it just came out last year. And one of the things that really shifted during the cancer scare was that I really learned to listen inside for my own guidance. So with my children, it was the same thing. Like, sometimes I joke that God raised them, because every time anything went wrong, I would literally go, you sort of ask, and an answer comes.
Yeah.
Right? And you go, so the kids would come up to me and they'd say, Mom, can I do this? And I would kind of ask, and I'd say, and the answer is no. And they'd be like, why? And I'd be like, no. That's just the answer. But the truth is, the interesting thing is, they knew that was the answer. They knew it before they asked. They're psychic. They know what the truth. The truth is solitary. It's not my truth. It's just that truth.
Yeah.
She knew it already. So eventually they stopped asking questions that they knew they were going to get a no for. And so, my kids are in their 20s now, and we never ever fought, because we just never had these weird push-pull situations, because everyone started asking. The kids were almost like, is Mom going to say yes or no? She's going to say no. And they just get on with their day. It was great.
At what age were they around when you started on your healing journey?
They were 2 and 4.
Yeah. So I know, with my own personal experience, my daughter she was a little bit older. So she was probably around the age of 10. And I know before that, our relationship was a little bit more difficult. We had a lot of kind of conflict, but I find, like, after that healing starts, it shifts everything.
Well, we make them honest.
Exactly.
The thing is, it's like, so children feel our truth.
Yeah.
So the truth is, we're really, really, really unhappy, and we smile as if everything's fine. And the kids go,
why are you smiling?
Why are you lying?
Yeah.
They learn that they can't trust adults, because adults are fake.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, if I'm upset and I'm crying, they go, right on. And if I'm happy and I'm happy, then I'm happy. And if I'm mad and I'm mad, then I'm mad. And that's it. Yeah. And so the kids now know they trust you.
Yeah.
So you relax and you relax. Yeah. And when they're upset, they can be upset. And if they're having a bad day, they're allowed to have a bad day. Whereas before, not only was I really there was a disconnect between what I was presenting to them and what my truth was. I didn't allow them to have a bad day any more than I allowed me to have a bad day.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden they're having a bad day, and instead of me going, do you want to make cookies? Do you want to do something? You want to make a friend? Da, da, da. I was going, yeah, I have bad days.
Yeah. Let
And
them express it, right? Because that's the truth. We tend to suppress before we come to terms with it.
And children tend to be more in the present moment. With us, we tend to be like with our minds full, thinking of things in the future, but children tend to feel always in the present moment.
And
That's why they tend to be more honest, it seems. Like they're more present than we are emotionally.
Well, we have ideas that take us out of the moment.
Yes.
So, for example, when we're parents, we have ideas of what a perfect parent does.
Expectations. Yeah.
So a perfect parent doesn't show their emotions.
That's right.
I mean, in no way do I think a parent should yell at their children or anything like that. There's a difference between attacking and simply being honest about, wow, I'm really feeling sad right now, or I'm really frustrated, or I'm actually really angry. That's a very different thing than taking that and throwing it at someone. So that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's so there's ideas that say, so for example, like for me, one thing that really came to me when I was sick was that I wanted to be sanctuary for my children. I figured that the rest of the world would judge them and tell them what to do and what they weren't doing right. They needed to have at least one place in the world where they could come and just be loved. So that became what we did. And so then I didn't correct them. Nice. You know, there were rules in the house. I mean, obviously, honest and things like that. I mean, there's basic. But, you know, if they wanted to make a life choice, then that's cool. They make a life choice. Yeah. It's not up to me. Like, so again, we have ideas as parents that say we need to guide them. We need to set them up for success. We need to do all these things, but it has nothing to do with the child in front of them. They're just an object to be molded in your little chess set or something, as opposed to an actual little infinite being with a journey, which is a very different thing to interact with. When a person knows that you're actually interacting with them as a person, they listen, they pay attention, they drop their guards. But if they know that they're just really a little bit of Play-Doh for you to mold so it looks good to the relatives and society and you feel justified as a good parent, they're going to fight that because none of us want to be molded by anybody. It doesn't matter whether you're 10 or 40.
They feel manipulated.
And I find...
Are being manipulated.
Yeah.
That's like if they are.
Yes. Like circus animals sometimes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Look at what my kid can do. Yay. But, you know, maybe that's not what makes them happy.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. I think that's a really important thing that in the land of healing, it's when everything kind of lives in truth. And when we start deleting all of these ideas that have sort of been pressed into our mind, when they start going, we all become present. We all become very current in the moment going, you know, what's going on now? You know, it's actually really simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. It takes a bit of time to recognize them all.
And I love that when you start to, you know, come into your journey, you're no longer looking for that exterior approval and, you know, trying to keep up what everyone else is doing. You actually take that inner journey to find the truth within you.
And to your point, that's in your book about people pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
I will never forget that. I was telling Tracy about that. That hit me in that book.
Yeah. Well,
because it led to basically, if you want cancer, he says, then be a people pleaser.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, you're not living your life anymore.
No.
And this really matters because we're all very different.
Yeah.
Like we're very, very different. Like if you even imagine through the chakras, the third chakra is who we are. This is our definition of self, our ego, as we are defined, not a negative ego, but as we define what makes each of us different, all of our gifts and all of our challenges and our karma and whatever else is all bubbled up to create this today. Well, it's very important to actually live the life that this was designed for. Mm-hmm. This is what healing is. This is what wholeness and health and joy is. Yeah. Well, as soon as we start defining what I'm supposed to be doing based on other people, I'm actually twisting my truth into all these different things. Well, there's nothing left. And I've now, like, literally, if you could see it, it's like you're just doing this thing and you're trying to live like this, wondering why you have body pain and your body is having all these issues, because you're not living your life, you're living someone else's life. And
that turns to resentment.
Oh my God.
That's what leads to resentment and ultimately depression, right? Pushing down who we're supposed to actually be, because we're making other people happy. Like you had mentioned that in your book.
That's why the negative emotions are so important.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are the course correction.
Yeah. True.
Right? If we're not feeling resentment towards those we love, we may not stop what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like if we don't become depressed and eat, 400 caramel bars or something, we might. That'd be me.
Eat your feelings. That was me too. Eat your feelings.
Yeah. And
right?
I don't eat when it's funny how we react differently.
I go to chocolate, but yeah, I eat my feelings.
Right? If we don't do that, and if we don't start getting migraines or gut aches or whatever else,
inflammation,
we won't change direction.
Yeah,
true.
So it's really like the negative emotions that we all try to avoid are so important, because they are the feedback from the system saying we are so off course here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's really valuable. So then all of a sudden, as we're walking through our life, instead of going, I must always be happy and I always be grateful, and I have to tell people what they want to hear and I want to keep the peace all the time, you simply get to go, wow, this is awesome. I'm feeling so happy. And another day you're like, oh, I feel so shitty. And it's like, ooh, I should look at that. But everything is grist for the mill. Everything's allowed to be processed. Nothing gets blocked in the system because we judge it or think there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
So that all of a sudden energy flows, healing happens. It's effortless. You just have to get rid of the blocks.
Yeah, you had mentioned that. I guess the emotional blocks is what creates all this trapped energy, which ultimately leads to your inflammation and disease, right?
Yeah, it weakens the immune system, right? Suppresses it. So,
like, well, we're the ones doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Simba. Sorry.
He likes the spotlight.
He loves the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I think the problem is we don't understand the role of emotions.
Yes.
Right? We have an idea that there's ideal emotions or something. And the reality is, if you're grieving, whether it's a person or a relationship or a life, then we really need to grieve.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, we really need to be sad, and we really need to, when people call, you can say, hey, you can come over, but I may just bawl my eyes out and be a raging loony. Like, that just might happen. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I often think of, there's many cultures where you're allowed to wail on the casket and lose your mind and scream and yell and break things and stuff. And over here we go, isn't she's so together. So
strong.
Yeah.
Strong.
So strong.
Yeah.
I can't stand that. And you start crying, no, you got to be strong for the kids. No, they should know that this is what sadness looks like.
Yeah.
And they should feel their sadness too.
Yeah.
Cool. So much better just to sit on the couch and cry together.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's cathartic, isn't it?
To honor
be able
those
to say to
feelings and let them come up and bubble up and release. Right?
And it's interesting, especially so the book, it's my story about breast cancer, but it's funny, when it was published, I was assigned an editor who was a man.
Mm-hmm.
I was all sure it was about women, breast cancer, women, But then this dude's my editor, and I'm like, And he goes through my manuscript and he says, this book isn't about cancer, and it's not about women.
No.
It's about everyone.
Yeah.
It's about all of us, because men certainly have these issues, having to look a certain way, have a certain kind of job, make a certain kind of income.
They have to be strong.
All the time.
All the time.
And they have to repress every emotion.
Yeah.
Women have to repress anger.
That's right. We're not allowed to be angry.
Not allowed to
Men
be
can,
angry.
but women can't.
I recently had an argument with my man, and we were sitting there, and he was saying, something that I disagreed with, and it kind of got heated, and I don't normally yell. Like, I don't think my kids have ever seen me yell. It's not I go inward and swallow it and eat caramel. But but this time I'm changing. I'm growing and getting smarter. And so he said a couple of things that I just was like, quit it. And I actually yelled at him. And he just went, I don't want you to yell at me. And I said, well, stop saying stupid things then. And he says, and it was huge for me. Like, this is like, whoo,
Wow.
started. And then he says, well, he says, I don't want you to be angry with me. And I looked at him and I said, but anger is an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You can't change how I feel. I am angry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because it was the first time I actually went, no, I just am angry. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, it's not negative. It's not inappropriate. The challenge with anger is, again, we see it as rage, or how the anger, because I think historically someone would be angry and they'd hurt people, or things would come out their mouth that were very cruel.
Yeah.
So we think anger's bad, anger's bad. So in those situations, the anger that perpetuated the bad behavior and the abusive behavior, the anger might have been bad. It's not actually the anger. It was just something else, one other topic. But so it's really interesting is just to be allowed to be angry.
Mm-hmm.
And the anger gives us strength to actually make change. Like, if there was anything I would change, if I was to tell myself 25 years ago, when I was married, I would have stayed angry longer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Until change happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm such a peacekeeper in my brain because that's the altruistic way to be.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be easy to get along with, and, something. I can't even go there anymore. So it's like,
I like that.
Right? And so I would get angry, and then I wouldn't want to be angry. Because, they even say that. It's like, anger is like toxic, whatever, the poison running through your body, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. Anger is what actually says, this is what needs to happen. And then they go away, and they think they're not in trouble anymore. And so nothing changes. But if you're actually still angry and they're still sleeping on the couch, there's a chance that change may happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the anger is the strength to actually say, I mean it.
Yeah.
This really matters. You don't have to flail at people, but you just have to say, no, still angry until change happens. And I think that's really important for women, because historically we couldn't be angry, because even it's 2018, but within us and within our mothers and our grandmothers were born in a time where women weren't persons.
Yeah.
We weren't people. And the embryo, the person that we are, the embryo that we were, that was inside our mother, was inside her mother. So, we actually have deep training, and forget about sins of the forefathers and karma and all that stuff. I mean, we've got lots inside that say, ooh, don't let them get angry with you, because if they don't like you, they'll put you on the street and you and your children are starving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? And so,
right?
And society still is teaching us that. We're hoping our daughters, our children will change that. But we see in our political world, for example, if a woman had come forward before the Senate and yelled at them the way this justice, who now is in the Supreme Court, it wouldn't have been allowed. But society is still in that sort of, they're teaching women that still, but women now are becoming more assertive and being angry. I went to a healer. I remember that my life changed when she said, oh, you went from depression to anger. Congratulations. Because now you're actually going to shift. Because you're going to because anger forces you to make decisions. But depression, if you're there, you're not making any decisions.
Well, I think in anger...
So it goes from depression to finally feeling angry. We went from here to here. And that was from actually a therapist. And she says, when you're angry, that's actually a good place. Congratulations. You need to be there and feel it. And that's when the decision making was happening.
Yeah.
So,
because you can kind of understand what it is that you want.
And it gives you the energy. Anger as an emotion gives you that energy to create change. But if it's suppressed, guess what? We get hurt. Right? It doesn't work. And I found that in your book. It was wonderful. It really resonated with me a lot.
Well, it allows us to be whole too, right? Like if you imagine like what I teach a lot now is about the masculine and feminine union.
Yeah.
And within us, when we have our masculine side is our protective side, and our feminine is our vulnerable side.
Mm-hmm.
So historically, because we were all sort of codependent, the masculine in our life was supposed to be protecting us, and we were all vulnerable. But of course, because we were in separation, it wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't okay. It was sort of that's what we're seeing as the negative manifestation of that. So the key is like to actually be happy within that our own protector protects our own vulnerability, which is all this anger is. That's all it is. It's not a negative thing. It's just a proper defense.
Yep.
What's going on around us. It's full balance within to say, no, you know what? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's it. And then all of a sudden inside, we trust ourselves. We know, you know what? No matter what, if I'm feeling vulnerable, I trust myself to protect me. Mm-hmm. And I'll say no, and I'll leave the room, or I'll make change. And that brings great peace inside.
Yeah. I don't know about you. I kind of grew up in a religious background, and they're big on, you're not supposed to, you have to forgive, and you shouldn't feel anger, and especially with women, we're supposed to be submissive. So a lot of it is maybe a religious upbringing or just upbringing, and it kind of gives us the framework where we grow up thinking that we need to push down that anger and put on that happy face all the time and always be that, peaceful person. And it actually, I can speak for myself, caused actually a lot of depression in my life and anxiety for years, to a point where I actually had it as a disability. And with energy work and energy healing and this journey that we're all on, I'm happy to say that I've overcome a lot of that, still working on it. It will probably be a work in progress for life.
And I think, too, the more that you do your energy work, the more that you come out of that anger, and because you start to become empowered. You start to have come into that heart-mind balance, that masculine-feminine balance. And now you don't have to protect yourself as much as you used to. Now you're just attracting what's meant for you, right? Because once you've done all that healing, it's like all of a sudden everything starts coming to you. And those people, they can't reach you anymore. Maybe those people that might have tried to pull you down or anger or frustrate you, they're not reaching you at the same level you were before.
Yeah, because our vibration is higher now.
You've changed your vibration. And I found that with my journey. Like mine happened very quickly, over probably about 3 years. And it was very, first year I cried every single night. It was a lot of wet pillows. But then it's like it just pretty much cleared out all of my past hurt, that emotional self that I had been reacting out of my whole life. And then all of a sudden, it's healed, and all of a sudden you start to become empowered.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing how it works, like the journey itself. And it's like I'm a completely different person than I was 3 years ago.
Me too. I don't even recognize myself. I believe I read it in your book. You use the phrase as well, like what you resist persists. So when we resist our emotion, guess what? It's going to haunt you in another way, ultimately in our body, eventually, in the form of some kind of, it manifests for everybody differently if we're pushing down our feelings, right? So when we accept we're angry about something, it's like it almost not disappears, but you kind of make peace with it. Instead of pretending, no, I'm not going to be angry. No, you need to feel it.
You embrace it and you understand it, and it's like it's breaking out of that karmic wheel.
Yeah.
Right?
But you
the
mentioned that in your book.
I
remember reading that.
So it's
but
pretty.
It's stopping lying.
Yes, stop lying. I love that. That's my big takeaway today. Is just be honest.
Right? Because
awesome.
If you're angry, you're angry.
Yeah.
That's all. It's not. We've overcomplicated it, and I think it's okay that we have. I mean, again, 100 years ago, it was important for women to forgive, and it was important for women to put a face on because it was survival.
Yeah, we had to survive.
And that's okay. That it's not about saying, oh, it's a really negative thing. Yeah. It's just about saying, okay, there was a time when we really did have to put on a happy face because we had no rights.
Yeah.
And so, but we do now.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's a time of saying, okay, so we have rights, and to be aware. And I think that's the key, because if when we just simply criticize or resist, or we say this shouldn't happen, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. This is how we are. And so we go, but today I'm going to make a different choice. Yeah. It's really that simple.
And that's really what the anger does. It helps you to realize what it is that you want.
But realize that anger, it's kind of like we're always in balance. Like, so right now I'm sitting here, I have no need to be angry, I have no need to be, I don't need anything, I'm just hanging out, right?
Yeah, you're not provoked.
So the thing is, so it's like about being whole and content and peaceful. And then when something happens, we respond appropriately. Yeah. That's all. And if someone comes in and they go, Katrina, I can't believe, la 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 la, I might go, awesome, because I don't care.
Yeah.
Or I'll go, yeah, it's not really true. Right? And that's it. And so an appropriate response will happen because I'm already in balance. Yeah. The challenge is if we don't believe we're allowed to have a protector, right? Then the vulnerability is just like this crazed, chaotic thing. And it's just like, everything's crazy. Mm-hmm. So it's what I often find, like I teach women a lot. Like I love teaching women's retreats right now because it's time for the feminine to actually step into this wholeness. And it's easy to say, but it's actually interesting to actually give new words and a new foundation for that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that actually comes with strengthening and creating a really healthy masculine within. Yeah. Creating a healthy protector, creating a healthy giver to ourselves. Like, in the land of the masculine giving and to receiving for the feminine, to actually listen within to what's needed inside and then give ourselves that. Mm-hmm. And that might be sleep. That might be sex. That might be chocolate. This might be fresh air.
Sometimes you just have to say no.
And sometimes it's saying no. It's just really interesting to actually trust within that this is possible. But a lot of this is strengthening this masculine to actually say, I'm here for you. Don't worry. I'm not going to back out. Like for me, that I talk about it a little. Well, I don't think I did talk about it. I think I talked about it in my second book. During the breast lump situation, the night before the lump left, so this wasn't in the book, pretty sure. I felt called to go to a friend's house who was a very psychic healer, and I'm kind of sitting in the corner and I had all these like electrical shocks going through my body. It was like very painful and stuff. And I'm just sort of sitting in the corner while she does her thing. And she had a couple friends over and they're all making food and stuff. And I'm just sort of sitting there. And all of a sudden her friend comes over and she looks at me and she says, you sent your inner child away. And I said, uh-huh. This was 20 years ago. I was still a little new. And I said, okay. And she said, do you want to bring her back? And I went to say something because I was going to say the right thing, like, oh, yes, I want to heal my inner child, la, la, la. And she said, no. She goes, you need to promise her that you're actually going to take care of her. Yeah. And you're going to protect her. And you're going to create a space where she's safe, that she can play, and she'll be okay. Mm-hmm. And it was so funny. And so she says, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to picture a place where she'll be safe. And I was laughing because I closed my eyes and instantly I got this vision of this great big wingback chair in this old library. And I'm like, and I'm judging the vision, right? And I'm like, that's ridiculous. What, 6-year-old girl wants to live in a library? This 6-year-old girl wants to live in a library. Yeah. And so I'm judging the vision, and finally I stopped judging the vision. And she finally looked at me. She goes, are you ready to bring her home? And of course, but the promise was the strength of my inner masculine, that I wouldn't throw her to the wolves, that I would listen to her. And then I would honor her. Like, we even see this with children. The kids want something. We go, oh, no, that's not good for you. Da, 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 da. And the kids go, all right, I can't trust mom. Deep down, they know that, okay, we're separate. There's no union anymore. And I mean, and this is how we were raised. It's not a judgment of, moms out there going, oh my God, I ruined my children. It's like, not like that. You can always come back together at any moment, and you can say, wow, I heard this weird talk and now I want to do this,
Yeah.
It's
That's actually happening to me right now, but yes,
Yeah.
I have an
I have the
11-year-old
proof of
daughter,
that, too.
but yeah, I'm always, you're probably answering all my questions right now too, but yes.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's hard being a mom sometimes. Like, I just, I remember finding out when I was pregnant, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because I was actually fearful of my parenting, how I was parented, and sometimes it comes out, and so now I'm aware of it. But yeah, every day I'm aware of it, and like, you know what, you're reacting from something from the past, and you have to correct it. Like,
well, there's a lot of deprogramming we really have to do
and
to
rethinking it, and culturally you came from this, but now we're in a new. Let's rethink how we talk to our daughters or sons.
Well, we can be light about it too, right? And
For
you
sure.
can do something and then you can go, oh, that was grandma.
Exactly. Well, we've had a good chat.
Yeah. It's been great.
And we're very happy that you took the time out of your schedule in the middle of your packing and going on your new journey. And we wish you all the best, and hopefully we keep in touch. And thank you for
sharing a bit of your story. And thank you so much.
Well, and What If You Could Skip the Cancer is actually now, I've reissued it in second edition. Mm-hmm. And so it's actually now in like paperback and ebook and audiobook too.
Oh, wonderful.
Perfect.
And it's available everywhere online.
Yeah, and we'll put a link up to where people can get it.
Awesome. Yeah, and I have an email list too if people want to follow my journeys or articles or teachings. So
perfect.
You're an inspiration. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the story it was really in depth, and it was just kind of nice to see how you showed people how you were able to break some patterns and come back to healing. So,
and my takeaway is just be honest. That's so beautiful, and it's perfect, and probably the best message.
I don't know if you can see this. Can you see the tattoo on my arm?
No.
The other way, maybe?
Yeah, try the other way.
It's weird.
You see it like that.
Is it a feather?
Yeah, it's a feather.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I see it now. There you are.
Okay. Anyway, I have a feather tattooed on my forearm. And I got it a while ago. I actually thought it meant something else until a woman said to me, she says, did you know that if a native person holds an eagle feather, they have to tell the truth?
Oh, yeah.
And I went, crap.
Well, that's perfect for you.
It was awesome.
I find we get what we need.
That's
right?
awesome.
We may not realize it, but we get what resonates and what we need in our life. So it's not going to pass us
just
by.
honed my truth. Like I'm not someone who lies particularly, but it's more about actually tuning in what the whole truth is.
To live in your truth.
Right?
And your case was actually life-saving.
Mm-hmm.
That phrase, be honest with yourself, probably saved you. So
I think it's kind of always life-saving, to be honest. Even in the small ways.
And really, that's when you look at the grand scheme of things, the more people that come back to their truth, the better our world becomes. Right? Because it's as within, so without. So we're not only healing ourselves, but we're coming into alignment, which will also heal the earth, too. Right? So
Lightworkers unite.
Yeah.
Lightworkers, healers, all of waysayers, that's wayshowers, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
One video at a time, one book at a time, whatever we do, shine on.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's awesome. Thank you, Katrina.
Thank you, Katrina.
For having me.
Okay.
See you later.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.